Hello and welcome to Apollo Security Web Training. My name is Sean Conti and I'll provide you with information on how to operate and configure Apollo Access Control System. On this first episode, we will be going to the advantages of an access control system compared to traditional physical access like door locks and keys. So let's go on to the training materials. So the basics of access control. People always wanted security for their assets, for their house, office. Traditionally, these, keys and door locks, they have been around for ages. Pretty practical, cheap and easy to make, but they have limitations. So how does an electronic access control compare to a traditional physical lock? First and foremost, an electronic access control usually involves a reader, and then you'll have controller, and then you will have an electronic magnetic lock to the doors, to lock the doors electronically. And then you will also have a software. Usually you'll have a software, but sometimes in some cases you have a standalone devices, which is also electronic, but they work mostly for one door. But the one we're talking about now is more of a centralized access control. So how do they compare with traditional physical access? When electronic access control, it's more personalized. So with a door key, anyone can have a key. But with an electronic access control, a single card, a single issue is, tied to that certain individual. So it's more personalized. And then instead of having multiple keys like this, that single individual can access multiple doors by using a single card, which he will have different access levels. And, with traditional keys, anyone can access the site 24/7 basically. They can access it anytime, whereas with electronic access control, there's a certain time limit that the security personnel can impose, so not anyone can access a certain facility or area 24/7. And then there's another thing where the key is missing or stolen. It's gonna have a burden. It's gonna be a burden for the facility if a key is missing or stolen. People cannot access a certain door for a certain amount of time until a new issue of the key or a new key is made. So it's not so efficient, especially if you have a large amount of people going in and out. So you want to have something like an electronic access control to cope with that amount of traffic. And then if there's a key or if there's a card missing, the security personnel can just deactivate the old card and issue a new one for that certain individual. So there's a lot of benefits in there. Also, another benefit is with electronic access control, you can have a report. So you can have a report, of the amount of access being made by a certain guy or a certain door, and then you can have time attendance as well with electronic access control, because it can keep track of who's going where at what time, and if there's any access granted or denied. Whereas with keys, you pretty much have nothing. There's no data whatsoever, unless there's a single person checking every single guy. Oh yeah, you came in, you went out. So yeah, that's pretty much the pros and cons. So what are the benefits? What parts of organization or who benefits from electronic access control? First is, of course, the security personnel. It's easier for the security personnel to maintain security in the overall area. He can keep track, he can issue card, He can deactivate stolen card or missing card, or an employee who no longer works in the facility or in the office. He can deactivate the card, so it's a lot easier for him. Another one that could benefit a lot from electronic access control is, human resource personnel, because you can keep track of the time and attendance of people or employees. So with electronic access control, you can keep track of the employees when they check in or check out of the office, how many days a week they came. So yeah, there's a lot of benefits with electronic access control. And basically, although traditional keys are relatively cheap, it is a lot more benefit with electronic access control. You can increase the return on investment with electronic access control. If you have a large facility, with a lot of human traffic on it, with a lot of human traffic in it, you can keep track, of who goes where, what time, you can secure your assets. Whereas if you have a large amount of traffic using traditional key, and then, the key is missing or stolen and this and that, it will be a burden to the amount of work time or to the overall operation of that certain facility. So that's pretty much the benefits of an electronic access control. And if you have further questions regarding access control, you can contact your Apollo sales representative. And then until then, I'll see you on the next episode of the Apollo Web Training.